Okay, so now I'm going to get into part 2 of this lesson, configuring Oracle Rec Reader Node. So let's take a look at the diagram here. Okay, so far we discussed about clusterware installation in lesson 1, and we also discussed about Rec database overview in lesson 2, and this is our environment, and we discussed up to this point. So when you look at here, we installed database software in the hub node, and then we created a database, and this is 3-node Rec database. Okay, so instance 1 is running, instance 2 is running, instance 3 is running out of this. The question is, in the Flex cluster, is it possible to create database instances in the Leaf node? And we installed the database software, but what about database instances? Starting with 12.2, it's possible to create Rec instances, but it's got to be only read-only mode. So through hub node, we can do insert, update, delete. So we can make some transactions, and definitely in addition to reading. And the second set of instances, which is a reader node, which is a read-only instances, and these can be used for the read-only purpose. So if you want to offload IO-intensive operation or memory-intensive operation, then you may want to configure read-only instances in the Leaf node. So what could be an example? One possible example is, let's say, parallel query. When you run parallel query in the read-write instance or instances, which memory component does Oracle use? PGA or SGA? And definitely PGA is used in most of the case. And once we process a large amount of data, then the data processed will be discarded. And the next time, when you run similar query that requires about same data set, then we have to fetch data again, cache into the PGA, and then we do perform parallel operation, and then discard again. Okay, that may be too expensive. Why? Because whenever you run parallel query, we are expecting large volume data processing. Is it possible to cache data that will be processed in parallel in SGA memory space? Okay. So if that is possible, then we process large amount of data and we cache it into the SGA memory space, and we use it for subsequent SQL statement as well. Okay, it is possible by using read-only instances in the Leaf node, and definitely we can use other features to make it available through hub node instances as well. But this is to offload that particular operations. Okay, so through these instances, okay, you configure in-memory parallelism, meaning that we have a Rec configuration, we have multiple instances across the Leaf node, and amount of data that will be processed smaller than the instance 4, instance 5, for example, then Oracle may choose SGA to keep it for the subsequent operations as well. So you can use it for that purpose, or if you have a sorting operation, for example, okay. So as a part of reporting, I need a sorting, or I have a reporting query that requires hash join. Okay, I can offload those operations to the Leaf node instances as well. So you can actually focus on OLTP transactions in the hub node. You can also focus on IO-intensive operations and memory-intensive operations to the leaf node instances. So this is new support. So we're going to get into this area. And read-only instances on leaf node, starting with Oracle Grid Infrastructure 12C Release 2, it's now possible to run read-only instances on leaf node. And that is called reader nodes. That's in the name of instance. And reader nodes are instances of Oracle RAC database that run on leaf node. And database instances on reader node should run in read-only mode. It is a read-only mode, and that is the only supported. These instances are not affected if you need to reconfigure hub node. Okay, and parallel queries running on reader nodes are not subject to a brownout that can occur when hub node is reconfigured. And to run Oracle RAC database instances on reader nodes and connect leaf nodes to storage. When you create Flex cluster, making underlying shared storage visible to leaf node, that wasn't mandatory. But if you are planning to create read-only instances in the leaf node, then you have to make shared storage available to leaf nodes. And then install Oracle Database Home on all required nodes. And you will have to extend public network to leaf node. And you will also have to create policy managed database. And then you will have to extend listeners to leaf node as well to support connection request handling. And also add a server pool to the system. So you group leaf node as a server pool, and then we're going to actually create service to support connections. So that's actually the configuring Oracle RAC reader node. This is a very high-level introduction as a part of a next lesson practice activity, and you will practice this area. Okay, in terms of the time management, we didn't add this practice activity of Oracle RAC reader node in this lesson, but in the next lesson you will practice how to configure Oracle RAC reader node. Now we have another configuration. So let's get into converting a single instance Oracle database to RAC. So how do you convert your single instance database to RAC database? And we can use various tools like a DBCA and Enterprise Manager rconfig. And depending on your scenario, you can use different tools and you can use a different method. Okay? So before you convert single instance database to Oracle RAC database, you should have your own backup, okay, of your database just to support in case where conversion fails. So you can actually restore your backup, okay, in the emergency case. And also when you convert single instance database to RAC database, we need a multiple thread, and that should be part of your consideration. And archive logo file must include the %R, %T, %S, additional information. And also, by default, all files are migrated to OMF. So that's what you should be aware of. Based on that, let's talk about two different scenarios. The first scenario is this. I'm running single instance database in the standalone server. So my database in this example is the database. And I installed the database software in the local storage, and my database is residing in local storage. My plan is to convert this single instance database to rack database, and also as a part of conversion, I also need to migrate because of my database is running out of standalone environment. So I will have to prepare clustered environment, and I have to migrate my single instance database, and also I will have to convert it to rack database. So I need the 2 steps, right? So how can I do that? When you look at here, this is a server that I'm going to use to create cluster, node 2 and node 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the DBCA method. Now, when you start DBCA, you have an option to create database, option to upgrade, and you also have an option to create template. And we're going to use this template method. Okay? So you create template option, and you provide template name and template location. And then, how do you want to create this template? So I have an existing database, and from existing database, I want to create template. As a part of a template creation, it will create a few files. One is a DFB file that includes your database, the database content. You can think about this as a template, actually a backup in template format. And there is also the data structure, the file that includes the data structure information, and also control file. So we will create an image of a single database in the template format. So finally, in the local storage, in the standalone server, you will have files with the extension DFB and DBC and CTL files. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the servers that will be the member of a cluster. And you will also install Oracle Clusterware software. So in this case, we configured the underlying shared storage, and we installed grid infrastructure to create 2-node cluster. So I have to migrate. So now what we're going to do, since we created 2-node cluster from standalone environment, I'm going to copy template files. So DBC file, DFB file, and CTL file. And then we can stage these files in different locations, especially DBC file, it must be under template directory. So that way, in the destination, when you start DBCA, it will recognize newly added template. And also, you can modify contents of a DBC file, database structure file, if the current location of pre-configured database image in template format is in different location. And this is an example. So we open a DBC file, and we have a DFV file location. So if it's not same location, you modify this location, okay? So you can modify this location, so that way DBC will point to this pre-configured image. So this is actually the result of step 3. So using scopy or FTP, we copied these files to one of the members of a cluster. So we have these files. So since we have a template file in node 2, which is the first server in the cluster, and we're going to use it to create database with the template. So now this is my cluster, and we install database software, and then we're going to start DBCA, and then we can create rack database by using template. So that is a way to create an Oracle rack database. So we had a single instance database in the standalone environment, and we prepared Oracle cluster, and then we created a template. We copied the template file over to clustered environment, and we created a rack database by using template files. So that's one possible scenario. Now we have a second scenario. Now this time, my single instance database is already running out of clustered environment. I already have a cluster. If you remember, when you create, if you have a clustered environment, you install the rack database software, and using DBCA, you can create single instance database, rack one node database, and rack database. Okay, and this is an example of a single instance database. Can I convert it to rack database? Now, one thing what I want to achieve is this. Since my database, single instance database, is already in the shared storage, I want to convert single instance database that is running out of a clustered environment to the rack database without moving data files and database files, because my database already resides in shared storage. That's what I want to do. So in this case, we can use our configure utility. So by using srvctl configure database command, and you can check your database type. So in the clustered environment, I have a single instance database, so I can verify my database type. And then what I'm going to do is we're going to use Oracle Home and Assistant rconfig sample XML. And here you will see XML file named convert to rack admin managed or policy managed. Okay, so you open up this file, and then you modify convert verify only. So I will just check whether I can convert my single instance database to rack database or not. So you keep this the convert verify only, and then what you have to do is you provide all required information, and when you hit target database area, and you have to make it null, meaning that I will use same database location as is. Don't move it, because I'm already in the shared storage. I'm already in the clustered environment. And also, flash recovery area, I will make it null, meaning that don't move my backup related files. I will keep it in the same location as is. So once verification is successful, then you will get this message. There is no return value for this step. Okay? So you verified, and then what you're going to do is you will have to change it, convert verify equals to yes. So now I'm going to implement. So when you run rconfig utility, and this rconfig utility now implement conversion behind the scene. So it will automatically set temp table space, automatically add undo table space, and automatically enable additional thread, and everything will be done automatically based on input information you added. So by doing so, we can complete conversion of a single instance database to rack database in this way. So finally, you can verify my database has been converted to rack database in this way. So this is my the final result. So by using rconfig utility, I was able to convert single instance database that was running out of a clustered environment to rack environment without having to moving my database. Okay, so we have actually a quiz here. The rack database software installation is initiated by executing run installer from the root directory of Oracle database 12c CD-ROM or from software stage location. So the answer is true. And which of the following statement regarding the true? The reader nodes are instances of an Oracle RAC database that run on leaf node. So that is true. And reader node can run on either hub or leaf node. No, it cannot run in hub node. Parallel queries running on reader nodes are not subject to the blowout that can occur when hub node is reconfigured. That is true. And database instances on the reader node run in read-only mode. That is true. And a single instance database can be converted to RAC database by using either rconfig or by using DBCA. So by using template, we can convert RAC database, a single instance database, to RAC database. Okay, so this is the last part of lesson 3.